other print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Pat Connolly, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from current issues of the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier radio reading service. From the Tuesday, May 5th issue of the Niagara Gazette, Youngstown man first in western New York to get cancer treatment. New FDA-approved drug offers renewed hope in fight against bladder cancer, by Robert Creenan. Ray Page thought he was getting checked for an enlarged prostate. The former carpenter, Ellicott property manager, and one-time owner of the Rapids Theater had previous surgery to deal with his prostate. When he began experiencing frequent urination again in January 2025, he thought it had enlarged again. But when his urologist performed further testing, he found a small tumor inside Page's bladder, which he felt was cancerous. Further examination with a cystoscope led him to remove 2 tumors. I was shocked, Page said. Then from there you get a little depressed. You get to start doing a lot of soul searching. What Page had was non-muscle invasive bladder cancer, which is found in the inner surface tissue of the bladder and has not spread in Page's case. Bladder cancers are the 6th most common kind of cancer in the United States, with around 84,000 estimated to be diagnosed in 2026, according to the American Association for Cancer Research. Page does have a family history of cancer, though he also believes smoking and drinking may also have contributed. His primary treatment for the next few months was Bacillus calmette-guerin, a cancer-treating solution that has been considered the gold standard for bladder cancer treatment. He also had surgery to remove an edge of his bladder. But the side effects of the treatment made him unable to live his life. He had constant fatigue, no appetite, and back pain, keeping him inside his Youngstown house during the summer and not spending time with his 2 sons, Matthew and Nicholas. Page's wife, Joanne, is herself a breast cancer survivor, having gone through her own treatments in 2017. When it comes to someone you love, it's definitely harder, Joanne said, of dealing with the constant treatments. There's a lot of dreams here that we're living for, Ray said. I just retired. She's going to retire in a little bit. We want to go have fun together. That's what we worked all our lives for, and I don't want to give that up now. In early November, after months of treatments, Ray was talking with his urologist about another round of BCG treatment, or even removing his bladder. At that time, there was a Johnson & Johnson salesman right outside his examination room selling Western New York Urology a bladder cancer treatment called Inlexzo, which was FDA approved in September 2025. Quoting, he said, "I believe you're going to be a perfect candidate for this," Ray recounted, talking it over with Joanne before filling out an online questionnaire for the drug. Within a couple of weeks, I was contacted by J&J, Johnson & Johnson. Like his BCG treatment, Inlexzo is inserted into his bladder, where a catheter rolls into a pretzel shape and emits the cancer-fighting medicine. Ray's treatment has the catheters inside for 3 weeks at a time, going to the urologist to remove the old one before inserting the new one. Since starting in January, going on his 6th treatment, Page has been tumor-free and experienced fewer side effects. Only one other Western New York urology patient has been prescribed the treatment so far. Ray will be on this treatment for at least another 6 months, but it has already given him back his old lifestyle and time with family. There's been no new tumors that have grown, so that to me is unbelievable, Ray said. It definitely gives you a light at the end of the tunnel. He has also become part of several Facebook bladder cancer groups, sharing his experiences and reassuring those who are considering Inlexzo for treatment. He wants people to have good communication with their doctors about treatments and to drink enough fluids while on a treatment. May is Bladder Cancer Month. May is Bladder Cancer Awareness Month, a global initiative to raise awareness about symptoms, risks, and support for the 10th most common cancer worldwide. The campaign emphasizes that blood in the urine is never normal and requires prompt medical attention to improve early detection. For more information, visit https://tinyurl.com. That's tinyurl.com/ys74st3b. Still from the Tuesday, May 5th issue of the Niagara Gazette. 2 helped from burning home on Whitney Avenue. That would be Niagara Falls. Police say 4 squatters in home at time of Monday fire. Niagara Falls firefighters helped 2 people from the 2nd floor of a burning Whitney Avenue home early Monday morning. The fire was reported about 6:20 a.m. Monday at 1705 Whitney Avenue. The front porch of the house was fully engulfed in fire when firefighters arrived on the scene. While the home was vacant, police said 4 squatters were inside at the time of the fire. 2 fled through the rear of the home and were met by police. They told officers 2 more people were inside, and firefighters were able to find them on the 2nd floor of the home. Firefighters requested a ladder to a window on the west side of the home to get the people out. Firefighters were able to contain the fire to the porch and exterior of the home. Reports for the scene indicate that a couch on the porch appeared to have been set on fire. The fire remains under investigation. Still from the Tuesday, May 5th issue of the Niagara Gazette. Niagara Amusement Park not opening for summer season. Future of former Fantasy Island property unclear. Robert Creenan is the writer. Grand Island's Niagara Amusement Park and Splash World announced last week that it will not be opening for the 2026 season. Owner IB Parks and Entertainment said in an issued statement Thursday that attendance and revenue levels for recent seasons were not enough to sustain operating costs and investments needed to rebuild the park. Quoting, "This is not the outcome we wanted, and we know it will be disappointing to many families, employees, and supporters who cared deeply about this park," the statement read. It's not clear where this leaves the park's future. Niagara Amusement's website does say they are evaluating future opportunities for the property. No changes in ownership have been mentioned. Prior to the announcement, there had been no updates posted on its Facebook page since January. The amusement park, formerly known as Fantasy Island, first opened in 1961 and was owned over the years by Lawrence Grant, Charles Wood, Martin DiPietro, and Apex Parks Group, before it closed in February 2020. Chicago-based IB Parks, that's letter I, letter B, had bought the park in 2021, operating it fully for the 2022 season. At the time of its closure, Niagara Amusement Park was 85 acres in size, with 30 attractions between the main park and Splash World. IB Parks plans on issuing full refunds to 2026 season pass holders over the next month. They still plan on hosting an annual July 4th fireworks display on the property. Representatives from Niagara Amusement Park and IB Parks and Entertainment did not respond to a request for comment on Monday. From the Wednesday, May 6th Niagara Gazette. Scan, launch, go. Lewiston landing upgrades eyed. Village installing new QR code system for boat launches. Robert Creenan. The Village of Lewiston is about to launch a new QR code system for those looking to set sail from Lewiston Landing. The company, Dock Bison, Dock, as in D-O-C-K, Dock Bison, will set up QR code signs at the boat launch ramp and nearby dock posts by this July, enabling boaters to fully pay digitally by the 2027 season. The company will provide the village with software that checks boater registration, verifies compliance, and processes payments, with harbor staff given devices to check registration as well. For the 2028 season, a new license plate reader would be installed to track vehicles associated with the boats. If a boater does not pay their fee, a notice would be sent to the village. Village Treasurer Stephanie Longwell said, "This is being undertaken to bring in more revenue for the village and reduce costs, as they had reduced the number of harbor masters to 1 and cut their hours because incoming revenue was not covering the position." The daily launch rates of $8 and various annual pass rates would remain the same after implementation. Dock Bison installed a similar system for North Tonawonda's Gateway Harbor last year, which brought in more than $61,000 of revenue for the city, a 44% increase. Estimates provided to the village state that this would create a 5-year projected value of $61,361 based on increases in local revenue and labor reduction. The village board approved running phases 0 and 1 of this system, with phase 0 being a complementary setup of the QR code signs. Phase 1 would start next year and cost the village $1,950, with all the hardware needed for this system to run being installed. Phase 2, planned to start in 2028 and cost the village $3,850, would implement the license plate monitoring. The final phase, running from 2029 to 2031 and costing $3,000. This sentence is not quite a sentence, but let me read it as is. It's also the final sentence. The final phase, running from 2029 to 2031 and costing $3,950 due to an increase in software maintenance. Still from Wednesday, May 5th, Niagara Falls murder suspect pleads not guilty. Buffalo man faces preliminary hearing in city court today. Rick Pfeiffer. A Buffalo man has been arraigned on a murder charge in connection with the city's first homicide of 2026. Lamont Kirk, 39, of Buffalo, pleaded not guilty to a single count of second-degree murder in the death of Jessica Emery. He was ordered held without bail pending a preliminary hearing in Niagara Falls City Court today. Niagara Falls Police Criminal Investigation Division, CID, Criminal Investigation Division, detectives, assisted by members of the U.S. Marshals Service, arrested Kirk on April 30th. He was taken into custody in the town of Hamburg in Erie County. Falls Police patrol officers were called to the Niagara Towers apartment complex in the 900 block of Cedar Avenue just after 11 a.m. on April 20th to check the welfare of a resident. The first officers on the scene reported finding the body of a woman who was deceased. The woman was later identified as Emery, 37, of the Falls. Detectives have not commented on Emery's cause of death, but She reportedly suffered multiple wounds and injuries. Criminal Investigations Division and Crime Scene Unit detectives also responded to the scene to take over the investigation. Crime Scene Unit detectives were later seen removing bags of evidence from the towers. Law enforcement sources said it appeared that Emery had been deceased for, quoting, some time. Investigators reportedly reviewed hours of security camera video taken from the apartment tower in an effort to identify Emery's killer. Sources with knowledge of the investigation said Kirk was identified as a possible suspect early in the homicide probe. Other sources said domestic violence may have played a role in the murder. Listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Going on now to the Niagara Gazette of Thursday, May 7th. Crash investigation. Teen hospitalized after driving stolen car into cement pillar. A 16-year-old was hospitalized after crashing a stolen car while fleeing from Niagara Falls police early Wednesday morning. That would be May 6th. About 2:10 a.m. on Wednesday, a Falls police officer attempted to pull over a swerving Ford Fusion driving without headlights in the area of First and Niagara Streets. The driver failed to stop and, while fleeing, crashed into a cement pillar at the entrance to Niagara Falls State Park at Main Street and Rainbow Boulevard. Members of the Niagara Falls Fire Department and an AMR crew responded to the scene, and the teen was transported to Golisano Children's Hospital in Buffalo with a leg injury. The Ford Fusion had been stolen overnight, according to police. The incident remains under investigation by Niagara Falls Police Crash Investigation Unit and juvenile detectives. Charges are pending. Continuing from the Thursday, May 7th issue of the Niagara Gazette, prior felon caught with crack cocaine in North Tonawanda faces up to 20 years in prison after March traffic stop in North Tonawanda. A North Tonawanda man released from prison earlier this year is facing new charges after being caught with crack cocaine during a March traffic stop. Eli Clark, 36, has been charged with possession with intent to distribute crack cocaine, which carries maximum penalties of 20 years in prison and a fine up to $1 million, U.S. Attorney Michael DiGiacomo announced Wednesday. In January 2020, Clark was sentenced on a federal charge of possession with intent to distribute 28 grams or more of crack cocaine. In March 2025, Clark violated his federal supervised release and was sentenced to an additional 12 months in prison, according to DiGiacomo. Clark was released from prison this past January. In March, North Tonawanda police conducted a stop of a vehicle Clark was riding in. During the stop, officers found 33 grams of suspected crack cocaine in Clark's waistband. Clark was taken into custody, and officers executed a search warrant at a River Road residence, seizing several drug paraphernalia items. Clark made an initial appearance before U.S. Magistrate Judge Michael J. Romer and was detained. The case is being prosecuted by Assistant U.S. Attorney Jeffrey E. Intravatola. The complaint is the result of an investigation by Homeland Security Investigation under the direction of Special Agent in Charge Aaron Keegan, the Niagara County Sheriff's Office Drug Task Force under the direction of Sheriff Michael Filicetti, and the North Tonawanda Police Department under the direction of Chief Keith Glass. A national or state article here. Trump's border czar threatens to flood New York with ICE agents. ICE as in immigration control. We'll see. George Owens from Syracuse.com. Tom Homan, President Donald Trump's border czar, said on Tuesday that if New York State passes legislation that limits cooperation with immigration and customs enforcement, there's ICE, he's prepared to flood the zone with more ICE agents than you've ever seen before. That was a quotation. Homan made his comments at the Border Security Expo in Phoenix, Arizona, CNN reported. Earlier this year, Governor Kathy Hochul introduced the Local Cops, Local Crimes Act, which would ban local agencies from entering into agreements with ICE, as well as restrict federal agents from using state technology, jails, or personnel for civil enforcement actions. Quoting, "So what's going to happen in places like New York and these other people that want to pass this ridiculous legislation not to work with us?" Question mark. So what's going to happen in places like New York and these other people that want to pass this ridiculous legislation not to work with us? End quote, Homan said at the conference, according to a video posted to social media by KTAR News in Arizona. Quoting, again, "We're going to flood the zone. You're going to see more ICE agents than you've ever seen before." End quote. Homan said this would lead to more collateral arrests of people who may not have been the targets of ICE actions. Continuing the quote, "So, congratulations, because when we send these teams out there, you'll find the bad guy. We'll find the bad guy. Most times we do," Homan said, continuing the quote, "and when we find the bad guy, he's with others who might not be priority target, but they're in the country illegally. They weren't people we were looking for, but we found them during these operations. Well, guess what? They're coming too. You're going to see collateral arrests increase in these areas. You're going to see more agents in your neighborhoods because you forced us in this position." End quote. Hochul defended the proposed legislation in a video posted to YouTube, saying that, quoting, "The premise behind this is simple. The local law enforcement is there for one purpose, that is, to help protect our communities." End quote. Still from the Thursday, May 7th Niagara Gazette, intoxicated driver pleads guilty to killing dog walker. Buffalo woman faces 7 years in prison when sentenced in August. A woman who fatally struck an elderly man walking his dog in Buffalo while under the influence of alcohol and drugs in December faces 7 years in prison after pleading guilty in the case. Renaya A. Cornelius, 32, of Buffalo, pleaded guilty on Friday afternoon before State Supreme Court Justice Paul B. Wojciech to one count of second-degree vehicular manslaughter, a Class D felony, and one count of aggravated driving while intoxicated, Class E felony under the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. Cornelius entered a guilty plea to the two highest counts in full satisfaction of the indictment. On December 27, 2025, the defendant, while under the influence of alcohol and cannabis, was driving with two children inside the vehicle when she hit a pedestrian at the intersection of McKinley Avenue and Lorraine Avenue in Buffalo. The victim was walking a dog through the crosswalk at the time of the incident. The victim, 81-year-old Daniel H. Zuklowski, was pronounced dead at the scene. The dog was not injured. Cornelius faces a maximum of 7 years in prison when she's sentenced on August 7th. Erie County District Attorney Michael J. Kane said his prosecutor requested that Cornelius be remanded pending sentence. She continued to be released on bail previously set at $150,000 cash or bond. Kane commended the Buffalo Police Department Accident Investigation Unit for their work in this investigation. The case was prosecuted by Assistant District Attorney Christopher M. McCarthy and Chief Patrick B. Shanahan of the Vehicular Crimes Bureau. Some local sports news from Thursday, May 7th, Niagara Gazette. Niagara County gymnasts Claire Henry, Selena Govern hit the national stage. Falls Govern took 5th. NW Niagara Wheatfield. Niagara Wheatfield's Henry takes aim this weekend by Max O'Neill. North Tonawanda. When Selena Govern and Claire Henry were little, they both got into gymnastics for different reasons. But they had one thing in common, a willingness to work hard and a drive to get better. The duo are different ages, go to different schools, and do different events, but they have both found success in gymnastics. The two train at the Gleason's Gymnastics Gym for 3.5 hours a day, 5 days a week, and it has resulted in them having success at regional and national championships. Quoting, "It takes a lot of work," Govern said about how much work it takes to be a good gymnast. "I'm here more than I'm at my home, basically." Over the weekend of May 1st, Govern competed in the Level 9 Eastern National Championships, finishing 5th on the vault with a score of 9.65. Those were the Level 9 Eastern National Championships. Now Henry is set to compete at the Level 10 National Championships over the weekend after winning a silver medal in the uneven bars and a bronze on the balance beam at the regional championships. Ahead of the national championships, Gleason's gymnastics coach Patrick Goldsmith is looking for Henry to not try to do too much as she looks to add to her routine. Quoting Goldsmith, "She's upgrading her floor, she's adding a new second pass, and it's been going very well," Goldsmith said. "So it's a pass that you can compete in college. So I'd like to see her hit that and really just do her thing on all 4 events. She's very consistent all year long and is training and in training and at meets, and it plays very well as year." End quote. While the two have been participating in the sport for many years, this year is their first time making it to the national championships. It is an experience that was and will be an eye-opening one for them as they look to continue to improve. It shows them what they are good at and what they need to continue to improve upon as compared to other gymnasts at their level. Quoting, "I think it will help me a lot moving forward because it proves you need to work hard to get to where you want to be," Henry said. "So it will just bring me together with other people and help my leadership skills and hard work moving forward." The two can take those lessons back to their respective schools, where Govern is a diver for Niagara Falls High School. As a diver, Govern finished her junior year with an appearance at the NYSPHSAA Girls State Championships. As a dual sport athlete, Govern can see the skills that are transferable from one to the other. Quoting, "A lot of my skills, I get my diving skills from gymnastics, but a lot of the stuff I did at gymnastics help with diving, and a lot of the things I do at diving help the gymnastics, like the beam," Govern said. "When I go off the board and I go backwards, helps when I go off the beam and I go backwards." Henry, who doesn't play other sports for Niagara Wheatfield, is working to transform her success with the club gymnastics team into an opportunity to continue her career in college. The 17-year-old is already talking to some of the country's biggest schools and is hoping to get more offers at the national championships, where there will be 70 schools represented. to continue to improve and turn conversations with coaches into offers from schools like Cornell University and Brown University, Henry knows what she needs to do. Quoting, I definitely need to upgrade some of my skills so that I can have some more difficulty in my routines and work on just being as consistent as possible mentally, physically, Henry said, and just really keep working hard at everything I do now, so that it can improve by then. End of article. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Moving on now to the Niagara Gazette issue of Friday, May 8th. An article of national interest from the Friday, May 8th Niagara Gazette. U.S. to revoke passports for thousands of parents who owe child support. Matthew Lee of the Associated Press. Washington. The U.S. State Department will begin revoking the U.S. passports of thousands of parents who owe a significant amount of unpaid child support. The department told the Associated Press on Thursday that the revocations would begin Friday and be focused on those who owe $100,000 or more. This would apply to about 2,700 American passport holders, according to figures supplied to the State Department by the Department of Health and Human Services. The revocation program, plans for which were first reported by the Associated Press in February, soon will be greatly expanded to cover parents who owe more than $2,500 in unpaid child support, the threshold set by a little-enforced 1996 law, the State Department said. It was not clear on Thursday how many passport holders owe more than $2,500 because Health and Human Services is still collecting data from state agencies that track the figures, but it could encompass many more thousands of people, officials said. Until this week, only those who applied to renew their passports were subject to the penalty. Under the new policy, Health and Human Services will inform the State Department of all past due payments of more than $2,500, and parents in that group with passports will have their documents revoked, the department said. Quoting, we are expanding a common-sense practice that has been proven effective at getting those who owe child support to pay their debt, Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs Maura Namdar said. Once these parents resolve their debts, they can once again enjoy the privilege of a U.S. passport. Since the Associated Press reported the expansion of the program on February 10th, the department said it had seen data that hundreds of parents took action and resolved their arrears with state authorities since news broke that the State Department would start proactively revoking passports. While we can't confirm the causation in all of those cases, we are taking this action precisely to impel these parents to do the right thing by their children and by U.S. law, the department said. Even before the policy was expanded, the department said the program had been a powerful tool to get parents to pay what they owed. It said that since it began in earnest in 1998, states had collected some $657 million in arrears, including more than $156 million in over 24,000 individual lump sum payments over the past 5 years. A local article, Prayers for Progress. Faithful offer support for Better Niagara Falls on National Day of Prayer by Mark Scheer. The City of Niagara Falls has many needs. A group of faith-focused residents and church leaders gathered outside City Hall on Thursday to offer something they think the city could use these days: prayers. The gathering marked the National Day of Prayer, an annual observation enacted by the U.S. Congress in 1952 to encourage all Americans to pray amid the strife of the Korean War. During a brief ceremony, the gathering offered up prayers for the leaders of the city and the nation, and for municipal employees, including police officers and firefighters. They also called for divine intervention to help the Falls as a community. Quoting, "We have a big hole in Niagara Falls, but God gave us a big pile of fresh soil, and we have to get the shovel and start digging," said event organizer and Falls native Steve Jackson. "I believe with all of our prayers, we can change it one shovel at a time." End quote. Chris Jackson asked for spiritual support. Chris Jackson asked for spiritual support for many of the city's ailing residents, including the homeless and those dealing with drug addiction. Quoting, "We have a lot of people in our city who are struggling," he said. Sam Torcaccio, the lead pastor with Niagara Frontier Bible Church in Lewiston, called for guidance and wisdom for city officials, including the mayor and members of the city council. He also acknowledged the hard work being done by city public safety officers and other employees. Quoting, "There may be a lot of complaints about the city, but we all know there are people here who work hard," he said. The Reverend Dr. Charles Searcy, a pastor with Third Presbyterian Church in North Tonawanda, offered prayers and hope that the Falls could enjoy a revival, helping it to become more like the place he remembered it to be as a young man, a time when he said, quoting, "Everyone would walk up and down the streets and everybody knew everybody. We have moved too far away from that." End quote, end article. Still from the Friday, May 8th Niagara Gazette. Stamp Out Hunger set to deliver hope to local families. Mail carriers collecting non-perishable items on Saturday. Niagara County residents can help support local food pantries and nonprofit organizations this weekend, and that would have been Saturday, May 9th, as part of the annual Stamp Out Hunger campaign led by the U.S. Postal Service. The 34th National Food Drive takes place Saturday and allows, that would have been Saturday, May 9th, and allows residents the opportunity to donate canned meats, vegetables, and soups and other non-perishable items like rice, cereal, and pasta by putting them in a bag and leaving them for pickup by postal workers. Residents are asked to place donated items in sturdy bags and leave them near their mailboxes before their regular mail drop-off times and as early in the day as possible. From there, local postal workers will pick up the bags as part of the process of distributing donated food to local food pantries and charitable organizations, including the Salvation Army in Niagara Falls and the Neighbors Foundation on Grand Island. Major Andrew Murray from the Niagara Falls Salvation Army said volunteers and staff from his organization will be on hand Saturday at the Lewiston Post Office to assist with food collection. He encouraged residents in the Falls, Lewiston, and across the county, or maybe country, it does say country here, yes, and across the country, to bag up what they can before Saturday, because every piece of donated food helps provide meals for less fortunate residents, particularly during these economically challenged times. The food drive is crucial for many of our local food pantries, Murray said. The annual drive, coordinated by the National Association of Letter Carriers, has collected more than 2 billion pounds of food since its inception in 1983. That's 2 billion pounds, not tons, since 1983. Falls mail carrier and food drive organizer Kenneth Morgan encouraged residents to do whatever they can to assist the drive. Anything helps, honestly, even if it's just one bag or one can, Morgan said. Everything helps. Morgan said the local drive provides assistance to area food pantries each year that they would not receive otherwise. He noted that many of the organizations that provide assistance to people in need of food are experiencing declines in donations as well as cuts in funding at this time. We are just able to come in and help out a little bit more, he said of the postal carriers and service. Without us, a lot more people would be going without food. We are grateful that everyone helps out. If they can help out again this year, we would really appreciate it. End quote, end article. Moving on now to the weekend issue of the Niagara Gazette for Saturday and Sunday, May 9th and 10th. Planting change in Niagara Falls, one tree at a time. Environmental Justice Initiative targets air quality concerns with new trees. Community volunteers and local leaders joined forces on Friday at the Packard Court Community Center for a hands-on tree planting event focused on improving air quality and advancing environmental justice in Niagara Falls. This initiative was sponsored by AES US Renewables and Power, the Arbor Day Foundation, and the Niagara Falls Housing Authority in partnership with the Create a Healthier Niagara Falls Collaborative. Residents in the neighborhood have long faced disproportionate exposure to air pollution linked to nearby industrial and manufacturing activity. Organizers said the tree planting was a step toward restoring balance, helping to mitigate harmful environmental impacts while investing in the long-term health and resilience of the community. Planting trees is more than beautification. It's a direct investment in public health, said Brian Archie, director of the Create a Healthier Niagara Falls Collaborative. For communities that have carried the burden of environmental harm, this is about restoration, healing, and taking tangible steps towards equity. End quote. Trees play a critical role in improving air quality, reducing heat, and creating healthier living environments. This effort reflects a broader commitment to address environmental disparities and ensure that all residents have access to clean, safe, and sustainable spaces. A lunch was served following the work of planting the trees. End article. About an upcoming event, PokeCon Fest making a stop in the falls this summer. Probably pronounced PokeCon, as in Pokemon. Traveling event will be at the Sheraton Niagara Falls Hotel on August 16th. Pokemon fans, collectors, gamers, and more are invited to attend PokeCon Fest in Niagara Falls on August 16th at the Sheraton Niagara Falls Hotel. The event is part of a nationwide touring convention dedicated entirely to Pokemon fandom and collecting. Organizers say PokeCon Fest is a family-friendly, one-day trading and collector-focused convention designed to bring together Pokemon enthusiasts from across the region. Attendees can expect a full vendor floor featuring Pokemon trading cards, collectibles, vintage items, toys, video games, artwork, apparel, and more. The event is built for buyers, sellers, and traders of all experience levels, from longtime collectors to new fans discovering the hobby for the first time. Throughout the day, attendees will have the opportunity to explore a vibrant marketplace atmosphere filled with exhibitors, artists, and vendors offering a wide range of Pokemon-themed merchandise. The event also encourages community interaction, trading opportunities, and fan engagement in a welcoming environment designed for all ages. PokeCon Fest has become known as a traveling Pokemon collector destination, delivering high-energy shows across the United States focused on trading, collecting, and celebrating Pokemon culture. Admission will be $20, with children 11 and under free, limited to one free child per paid ticket. The event is open to families and fans of all ages. More information at http://pokecon.com. Pokecon spelled spelled Pokekekon. Pokekekon.com. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from the Niagara Gazette on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Going on, still in the Saturday and Sunday, May 9th and 10th issue of the Niagara Gazette. New solar farm, cannabis growing facility being eyed for Wheatfield. Town Planning Board hears proposals this week. Robert Creenan. Wheatfield. The Wheatfield Planning Board took a look at proposals for a new solar farm and cannabis growing facility this week. Rochester-based Entose, spelled E-N-T-O-S-E, Entose LLC, is proposing a solar facility for 49.3 acres of vacant farmland on the north side of Lockport Road, currently owned by Calvin Fohl, P-F-H-O-L. I think it may be P-F-O-H-L. This could be the third such Wheatfield solar facility set up on that road, with the 6.3 MWLR Wheatfield Solar 1 starting operations in November 2020 at 2469 Lockport Road, and the 4 MWCVE US EIG facility starting in December 2023 at 3635 Lockport Road. Board Chair Susan Agnello Ebervine said Wednesday the developer did not provide details on whether it would be a Tier 3 or Tier 4 system or how many panels it would have. She is certain the power it would generate would be used locally, otherwise they would not approve it. Quoting, "Right now they just come to us and give us directions for what we need to do," Agnello Ebervine said. The cannabis proposal would be sited in an empty building at 6115 Lendell Drive, located behind the Shawnee Volunteer Fire Company. The 2-acre site would be strictly for growing cannabis crops, with plans to hire between 16 and 20 people. Architect Tommaso Briatico spoke about the facility on behalf of the developer. It would be the first such growing space in Wheatfield. It would be the first such growing space in Wheatfield, with the town home to one dispensary, Love Nug, on Niagara Falls Boulevard. The planners did raise concerns with its location near the fire hall, but were assured it would be far enough away. For what? Planners did not get information on how long it would operate during the day and suggested that Briatico come back with the developer at a future meeting. Both of the projects require the planning board to approve to approve special use permits, which would require public hearings for each. Sorry about stumbling through that article. Still from the weekend edition of the Niagara Gazette, Saturday and Sunday, May 9th and 10th. Read to Succeed program, expanding to Abbott. That would be Abbott Elementary School in Niagara Falls. Officials are looking for more volunteers for the coming school year. Robert Creenan. The Niagara Falls City School District is expanding its partnership with the Read to Succeed Buffalo program, bringing it to another elementary school. The district announced Friday that the program helping elementary students improve their reading skills will include Harry F. Abbott Elementary School for the upcoming school year. Program officials say they have a goal of helping 140 more students across Buffalo and Niagara Falls with reading this coming year, but they need at least 10 more volunteers here to make it happen. Quoting, "We want these young students and all of our students to be their absolute best," said incoming Falls Superintendent Stan Wojton. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Wojton, and I'm going to say Wojton. The program is going to give us the opportunity to prepare these students for their future, end quote. This school year, 12 volunteers provided one-on-one tutoring to 36 Bloniva Bond elementary students in 1st through 3rd grades. Including work within the Buffalo City Schools, 137 tutors provided 11,000 sessions to more than 400 students. Wojton, the incoming Niagara Falls school superintendent, said they felt Abbott was the appropriate place to expand since it's Bond's sister school, though they are open to including additional schools in the future. Read to Succeed Buffalo is an AARP Foundation Experience Core program that was launched in Buffalo schools in 2016 in order to help young students who were having trouble reading at their grade level. The age 50 and older volunteers worked with students individually twice a week for 30-minute sessions throughout the school year. Program Executive Director Ann Ryan said that last year 80% of the below grade level students they worked with achieved national benchmarks in oral reading accuracy. Every student they worked with saw an increase in their confidence. Quoting, "Confidence is a huge telltale sign of success in the future," said Ryan, attributing that to the volunteers who have come out. Chiquita Foster got involved because she always enjoyed reading and wanted to do something constructive with her time. The books she reads to her 3 second grade students are about ants, pirates, and whales, and she has noticed improvements in their reading fluency and comprehension over the year. Quoting, "Sometimes it's challenging, but there wouldn't be any growth if there wasn't a challenge," Foster said, planning to come out again this coming school year. Those looking to be a tutor can fill out a volunteer interest form on the Read to Succeed Buffalo website. There will be an information session at 1 p.m. on May 19th at the Earl W. Bridges Library for those interested. End of article. Finally, from the weekend Niagara Gazette, Roswell's Mobile unit brings cancer screening to Niagara County. EDDY unit, that's all caps EDDY unit, stopping by Lockport on Wednesday to promote Early Detection by Heidi Truschel Light, Lockport. As Niagara and Orleans counties experience high incidence rates of lung cancer, Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center will bring its screening vans for lung, breast, and prostate cancers to Lockport on Wednesday. Residents of any county can schedule to receive the screening services during the van's visit to the Dale Association at 33 Ontario Street between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. by calling 800-767-9355 or at www.roswellpark.org/EDDY, EDDY. Patients will need to provide their health insurance information. Jessica Leone, Senior Patient Navigator for Roswell's Mobile Lung Unit, said 2 mobile testing units will come to the Dale Association, a van equipped to provide annual mammograms and blood screening, and blood screening for prostate cancer, and a lung cancer screening van that performs a 2-second low-dose CT scan on patients. Screening is covered by most insurances, Leone said, but I always recommend most individuals to call their insurance companies to make sure, end quote. The screening vans remove the barriers of transportation to healthcare for people in Buffalo's outlying communities, Leone said. For the lung unit, which was launched in 2022, she said, "We've gone as far as Olean and Holly. It's kind of a large catchment area." The trips to Orleans County have been especially important, she said, because that county has the second highest lung cancer incidence rate among the state's 62 counties, with only Oswego County having a higher rate. "We are trying to push screening in that area," she said. "We are often traveling to Albion, Holly, and Medina." Niagara County ranks 14th in the state, Leone said, with Erie County at 36th. She said research is needed into why the county rates are elevated. I'll cut this article here because that day, Wednesday, has passed. If you would like to hear the remainder of the article, please call the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. At 716-821-5555, and a staff member will be happy to read the remainder of the article to you. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from current issues of the Niagara Gazette. We read from the Niagara Gazette every Saturday at 11 a.m., and your reader has been Pat Connolly. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Dunkirk Observer. Following that at 1 o'clock, we have a reading of some of our Northtown Bee papers, including Amherst, Clarence, Cheektowaga, Lancaster, and Depew. And then at 2 o'clock, we have the Southtown Bees, which includes Orchard Park, the Hamburg Sun, the East Aurora, and West Seneca papers. Stay with us for these readings and more. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Radio Reading broadcasts daily readings 24 hours a day of newspapers, magazines, and books to people who are blind or have a print disability and are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. From broadcast studios at 1199 Harlem Road, Radio Reading continues our almost 40-year tradition of award-winning service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability,